Too many of us spend our lives begging for change, begging people to see us, begging for opportunities, begging for validation. But let me tell you this, the moment you beg, you give away your power. You were not born to chase approval. You were born to create it. Don't beg, focus on you. Because when you focus on you, your growth, your mind, your energy, the world has no choice but to respond. The power is not out there. It is in here. Point to self. Today, I want to show you how to stop giving away your power and start building the life you deserve. Stop begging for approval. The truth is, the moment you start seeking validation from others, you hand them the key to your worth. You make their opinion bigger than your own, their voice louder than the voice within you, and their judgment heavier than your self-belief. Begging for approval is like standing in front of a locked door with your hands outstretched, hoping someone else will give you permission to walk through, when in reality, you already carry the key in your pocket. Every time you beg someone to notice you, to like you, to validate you, you weaken the very foundation of who you are. Approval is a currency, and the more you chase it from others, the more bankrupt you become within yourself. Think about it. When you constantly ask people, am I good enough? Did I do this right? Do you see me? What you're really saying is, I don't see myself. I don't believe in myself. I don't think I'm enough unless you tell me I am. That's not power, that's dependency, and dependency kills growth. Approval seeking makes you a prisoner to other people's moods, their standards, their shifting expectations. One day they clap for you and you feel high. The next day they ignore you and you crash. This endless cycle steals your stability and robs you of peace. But here's the shift: stop begging for approval and start giving yourself approval. Start waking up each morning and deciding, I am enough today, no matter who claps or who criticizes. When you do that, something powerful happens. You become free. Free from the noise of comparison, free from the chains of other people's opinions, free from the exhausting game of chasing applause. You start to walk with confidence that doesn't depend on the room you're in or the people around you. Instead of asking for permission, you start giving yourself permission to grow, to dream, to lead, to love yourself without conditions. And when you approve of yourself deeply, the world begins to reflect that. People sense it. They're drawn to you not because you're begging for their attention, but because you radiate something rare: certainty. You don't need them to tell you who you are, because you already know. That kind of self-approval is magnetic. It flips the script. Instead of you chasing validation, validation chases you. So stop begging. The applause you've been looking for has to start from within. The voice you've been waiting to hear is your own. Once you own that, you'll never again hand over your power for the cheap price of someone else's approval. You'll stand rooted, grounded, and unstoppable. Focus on inner growth, because everything you are seeking outside of yourself is only a reflection of what you have built within. Too many people spend their lives decorating the outside while leaving the inside empty. They chase status, material success, relationships, recognition, and yet when they are alone in silence, they feel a deep void because the foundation has never been strengthened. When you focus on inner growth, you are not just polishing the surface, you are building the roots. A tree does not stand tall because of its leaves or its branches, but because of its roots that go deep into the unseen soil. In the same way, your strength, your peace, and your ability to face challenges come not from what people see on the outside, but from what you have built in the unseen world within you. Inner growth means choosing to master your thoughts, to discipline your emotions, and to cultivate a mindset that empowers you instead of drains you. It means working daily on your awareness, asking yourself, am I reacting from fear, or am I responding from strength? Am I living based on old wounds, or am I creating from new possibilities? When you shift your focus inward, you start to recognize patterns that have been controlling you, patterns of doubt, insecurity, negativity, and you begin to rewire them with new, empowering beliefs. The outer world will always mirror the state of your inner world. And the moment you start shifting your inner landscape, you'll notice doors open outside of you that were once invisible. People often think growth means collecting achievements, but true growth is measured in resilience, patience, clarity, and self-awareness. A storm will come, and the person who has only focused on the outside will collapse when the winds blow. But the person who has grown within, who has trained their mind to remain calm, who has developed the ability to regulate their emotions, who has built faith and vision, will stand strong even when everything outside looks uncertain. When you invest in your inner growth, you begin to walk differently. You carry a peace that is not dependent on circumstances. You have joy that is not attached to outcomes. You create stability in a world that is unstable. You don't need to beg for opportunities because opportunities start to find you. Why? Because people are always drawn to those who radiate strength from within. Energy is contagious. If your energy is rooted in fear, people feel it. If it is rooted in growth, people feel that too. Every book you read, every hour you spend in reflection, every effort you make to align your actions with your higher values. This is inner growth. It may not give you instant applause, but it will give you lasting transformation. And in time, the outer rewards will catch up with the inner work. Focus on inner growth, and you will see that you don't need to chase recognition. You don't need to beg for approval. You don't even need to control outcomes. You become the kind of person who naturally attracts what is meant for them, because the world outside always bends to the strength you have built inside. Energy follows attention, and this single truth can completely transform the way you live. Wherever your attention goes, your life force, your emotions, your mental energy, and even your physical strength follow. Most people don't even realize that they are leaking their energy every day by placing their attention on the wrong things. They focus on what they don't have. They replay painful memories. They magnify small problems. They scroll endlessly, comparing themselves to others. And then they wonder why they feel drained, why they feel stuck, why they feel powerless. It is because attention is the steering wheel of your life, and if you keep pointing it toward fear, lack, and negativity, that is exactly where your energy will carry you. Think about it. If you wake up in the morning and immediately start thinking about everything that could go wrong today, your energy begins to match that focus. You feel anxious, heavy, and limited before the day has even begun. But if you wake up and focus on possibilities, gratitude, and growth, your body releases energy, your mind sharpens, and your spirit expands. It isn't magic, it's alignment. Your body, your emotions, and your life are designed to follow the direction of your focus. The problem is, most people are focusing by default instead of by design. They don't choose where their attention goes. They let circumstances, social media, gossip, and fear decide it for them. And then their energy is pulled in 1,000 directions, leaving them too scattered to build anything meaningful. The shift begins when you take back your attention and place it deliberately on what matters. Instead of obsessing over what someone said about you, focus on your growth. Instead of replaying mistakes you made, focus on the lessons you learned. Instead of worrying about who is not supporting you, focus on who you are becoming. The more you practice this, the more your energy gathers in the right places. And when your energy gathers in one direction, it becomes power. That is how focus creates results. You cannot pour water all over the ground and expect it to cut through rock, but if you channel it into a single stream, it carves valleys. The same is true with your life. Scatter your attention and your energy is weak. Focus it and your energy becomes unstoppable. What you consistently focus on grows stronger in your life. If you keep focusing on problems, they expand. If you focus on possibilities, they multiply. If you focus on fear, it paralyzes you. If you focus on faith, it empowers you. This is not just a motivational statement, it is how your brain and body are wired. Your nervous system responds to what you pay attention to. Your cells react to the signals your mind sends. Every thought you repeatedly focus on becomes chemistry in your body and reality in your future. So if you want to change your life, don't start by trying to change everything outside. Start by changing what you give your attention to. Every time you notice yourself drifting into negativity, catch it and bring your focus back. Every time you feel drained, ask yourself, where is my attention right now? You'll realize most of your fatigue doesn't come from doing too much, but from focusing too much on things that weaken you. Protect your attention like treasure, because it is the doorway to your energy. If you discipline yourself to keep your focus on growth, vision, gratitude, and possibility, your energy will rise, your confidence will strengthen, and your future will open in ways you never imagined. Self-respect attracts respect because people will only treat you according to the standard you set for yourself. When you carry yourself as if you are unworthy, when you tolerate disrespect, when you lower your boundaries just to be accepted, you silently train others to devalue you. But the moment you begin to honor yourself, the moment you draw clear lines around what you will and will not allow the energy you project changes. Respect is not something you chase or beg for. It is something you command by the way you live. When you respect yourself, you show others how to treat you without even speaking a word. Your posture changes, your tone changes, your choices change, and people notice it. Respect begins from within. It starts when you refuse to criticize yourself harshly, when you stop doubting your worth, when you stop apologizing for existing. The inner dialogue you hold shapes how you walk in the world. If you constantly tear yourself down in your mind, you unconsciously invite others to do the same. But when you begin to affirm your value, when you remind yourself that you are worthy of love, growth, and opportunity, you radiate a quiet strength that others cannot ignore. People sense when someone knows their worth. They might test your boundaries, but they will eventually align with the standard you set, or they will move out of your life altogether. And both outcomes serve you, because losing people who refuse to respect you is not a loss, it is a cleansing. Self-respect is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is not about thinking you are better than others. It is about knowing you are not less than anyone. It is about choosing to walk with dignity even when no one is watching. It is about refusing to compromise your values for temporary approval. When you respect yourself, you stop tolerating toxic relationships, you stop accepting less than you deserve, and you stop betraying your own principles just to fit in. And yes, it may feel lonely at first when you choose respect over acceptance, but that loneliness is only temporary. What you gain is far greater peace of mind, freedom from manipulation, and a life where the people around you are there because they truly honor you. Think of it like this: you are the gatekeeper of your own life. If the gate is wide open with no boundaries, anyone can walk in and do as they please. But if you guard that gate with self-respect, only those who value you and bring positivity are allowed in. Over time, the quality of your relationships rises because your energy no longer attracts takers, it attracts givers, builders, and those who recognize your worth. Every time you practice self-respect, you reinforce to yourself and to the world that you are valuable. Whether it's saying now when something violates your peace, walking away from people who drain you, or choosing to invest time in your growth instead of wasting it on things that diminish you, you are sending a powerful message. I matter. And when that message becomes consistent in your life, respect begins to flow toward you naturally. People cannot help but admire someone who stands firm in their dignity. So if you find yourself wondering why people don't respect you, don't start by blaming them. Start by asking yourself, am I respecting myself? Am I honoring my worth? Am I living in a way that shows others how valuable I am? Because the respect you receive will always mirror the respect you give to yourself. The moment you lift your standards, the world will lift the way it treats you. Shift from scarcity to abundance, because the lens through which you see the world determines the reality you experience. Scarcity tells you there is never enough time, never enough opportunities, never enough love, never enough money, never enough success. Scarcity makes you compete, compare, and cling, as if life is a pie with only a few slices and everyone else's win means your loss. But abundance teaches you that life is not a pie, it is an ever-flowing river. There is more than enough for everyone, and the only thing that limits you is the belief that you are limited. When you live in scarcity, you shrink your dreams, you doubt your abilities, you fear failure, and you hold on to people and situations that no longer serve you because you think nothing better will come. Scarcity is the mindset of survival, but abundance is the mindset of creation. Scarcity makes you beg for scraps, while abundance empowers you to build tables. Scarcity keeps you waiting for someone to hand you a chance, while abundance reminds you that you can create your own opportunities. When you shift into abundance, you stop seeing others as competitors and start seeing them as collaborators, because you understand that someone else's success does not take anything away from your own. In fact, their growth can inspire and expand yours. Abundance is the belief that there is space for everyone's light to shine, that the universe is generous, that doors will keep opening if you keep showing up with faith and work. Scarcity creates fear-based decisions. It makes you settle for jobs you hate, relationships that drain you, and habits that keep you small, all because you are afraid you won't find better. Abundance gives you courage to walk away, to take risks, to bet on yourself, because you trust that more is always available. Scarcity keeps your eyes on what is missing, while abundance trains your eyes to see what is already here. And gratitude is the bridge between the two. The more you practice gratitude for what you already have, the more you realize how rich you already are. That awareness shifts your energy, and your energy begins to attract more. When you shift to abundance, you stop obsessing over outcomes and start focusing on possibilities. You move from fear of losing to excitement of creating. You stop asking, what if it doesn't work out? And you start asking, what if it does? You stop clutching tightly to what you have out of fear of loss, and you begin to release, knowing that letting go makes room for more. Scarcity tells you the door is closing. Abundance tells you there are infinite doors. Scarcity makes you see only one path. Abundance shows you countless paths. This is not just positive thinking. It is a way of living that changes the way you act. A scarcity mindset keeps you in survival mode, reactive and defensive. An abundance mindset puts you in growth mode, proactive and creative. Scarcity shrinks your world, abundance expands it. And the truth is, abundance is always available. It is your perspective that decides whether you see it or not. The world responds to your energy, and when you carry the vibration of abundance, opportunities begin to appear where there were none. People are drawn to your confidence, and life starts to mirror back the fullness you believe in. So stop living like life is running out. Stop clutching at crumbs when you were created to bake loaves. Stop thinking in terms of not enough and start affirming always more. Abundance is not about what you own, it is about what you believe. And once you shift your belief, you will begin to live in a world that is overflowing with possibilities, growth, and endless opportunities. Detach from outcomes, because attachment is one of the greatest sources of human suffering. When you tie your worth, your happiness, and your peace to a specific result, you hand over control of your life to something you cannot fully control. You say to yourself, I will only be happy if this happens. I will only feel valuable if I get this job. I will only feel loved if this person chooses me. I will only feel successful if I reach this milestone. And by doing that, you chain your emotional state to an external condition that is fragile, temporary, and uncertain. Life is full of variables, and the moment you attach your inner world to external outcomes, you set yourself up for endless highs and lows. Detachment is not about giving up or not caring. It is about caring deeply while refusing to let the result define you. It is about showing up with all your heart, giving your best effort, putting in your focus, your energy, your passion, and then releasing the need to control what happens next. When you detach, you are saying, I will do my part, and I will trust life to do its part. It is a position of power because it frees you from the desperation that comes with clinging to outcomes. Desperation weakens you, it makes you anxious, it makes you fearful, it blinds you to new opportunities, and it drives people and possibilities away from you. But detachment gives you peace, clarity, and strength. Imagine planting a seed. You water it, you nurture it, you give it sunlight, but if every day you dig it up to see if it's growing, you kill it. That's what attachment to outcomes looks like. Constantly checking, worrying, and controlling. Detachment, on the other hand, is trusting the process. You plant, you water, and you allow growth to happen in its own time. You focus on becoming the kind of person who is ready to handle the fruit when it arrives, rather than obsessing over when and how it will sprout. Attachment creates fear of loss. You cling tightly, thinking, if I lose this, I lose everything. But detachment teaches you that nothing defines you except who you are becoming. Jobs can change, people can leave, circumstances can shift, but your worth and your peace are not negotiable if they are rooted within. Detachment allows you to love without fear, to work without obsession, and to dream without anxiety. It allows you to say, if it comes, wonderful. If it doesn't, something better is waiting. That mindset makes you magnetic because people and opportunities are drawn to those who are not desperate but secure. When you detach, you create space for life to surprise you. Sometimes what you are clinging to is smaller than what you are meant for, and detachment allows something greater to flow in. Attachment keeps you locked on a single door. Detachment shows you that there are 1,000 doors waiting to be opened. Detachment is freedom. It is the ability to walk through life with open hands rather than clenched fists. With open hands, you can receive. With clenched fists, you can only hold on. And in holding on so tightly, you block what is meant for you. Detachment is not indifference, it is wisdom. It is knowing that outcomes don't define you, that your identity is bigger than any achievement, that your peace is too valuable to be sacrificed at the altar of control. When you detach, you discover the joy of living in the present, of giving your best without fear, of trusting the flow of life. And ironically, when you stop obsessing over outcomes, you increase your chances of success because your energy is no longer heavy with desperation. It is light, focused, and creative. Detach from outcomes and you will find freedom. Detach from outcomes and you will find peace. Detach from outcomes and you will realize that you were never chasing results. You were always becoming the kind of person who could create them again and again. Reprogram your mind because every thought you think is a seed, and the garden of your life is nothing more than the harvest of those seeds. If your mind is filled with patterns of doubt, fear, negativity, and limitation, then no matter how hard you work on the outside, your inner programming will sabotage your progress. The truth is, most of us are living with mental codes we did not choose. They were given to us by parents, teachers, culture, media, and past experiences. We were told stories about what we can or cannot do, who we are or are not, what we deserve and don't deserve. Over time, those stories became beliefs, and those beliefs became automatic programs running beneath our awareness. The tragedy is that people spend their entire lives obeying programs they never consciously chose. Reprogramming your mind begins with awareness. You have to catch the old scripts playing in your head, the voice that whispers, "You're not good enough," the thought that says, "People like me don't succeed," the fear that insists, "If I try, I'll fail." These are not truths, they are old programs. And the moment you recognize them, you gain the power to rewrite them. But awareness alone is not enough. You must replace those limiting patterns with new, empowering ones. You must train your mind the way an athlete trains their body, through repetition, consistency, and focus. Every time an old, negative thought arises, you interrupt it and insert a new belief. I am capable. I am worthy. I am enough. I can create. I can rise. I can change. At first, it feels forced, unnatural, even fake, but the mind learns through repetition. What you repeat becomes familiar, and what is familiar eventually feels true. Science shows that your brain is neuroplastic, meaning it can literally rewire itself. The connections between neurons strengthen or weaken depending on what you focus on. If you constantly focus on fear, you build highways of fear in your brain. If you constantly focus on courage, gratitude, and vision, you build highways of empowerment. Reprogramming is not instant. It is the daily decision to choose thoughts that align with the life you want to create rather than the life you fear. Over time, the new patterns become automatic, and the old ones lose their grip. When you reprogram your mind, you begin to notice opportunities that were invisible before. You start to respond differently to challenges. Instead of reacting with panic, you respond with clarity. Instead of giving up, you persist. Instead of expecting failure, you anticipate growth. Your outer world changes because your inner world has shifted. And perhaps the most powerful part of reprogramming is that you stop being a prisoner of the past. You are no longer bound by what happened, by what people said, by the mistakes you made. You become free to design a new future because you have changed the very system that creates it, your thoughts. Reprogramming your mind also requires you to watch carefully what you feed it. The books you read, the shows you watch, the conversations you engage in, the people you surround yourself with. All of these are inputs, and every input leaves an imprint. If you constantly consume negativity, you reinforce negativity. But if you surround yourself with uplifting voices, empowering ideas, and people who challenge you to grow, you accelerate your reprogramming. Your mind is like a computer. It cannot run better programs if you keep installing viruses. Reprogramming is not a one-time event. It is a lifestyle. It is choosing daily to write new code for your life, to refuse to live as a victim of old programming. It is the ongoing act of telling yourself a better story, until that story becomes your reality. And the most extraordinary part is that once you reprogram your mind, you no longer need to beg for change, you become the change. You no longer wait for external approval, you generate inner certainty. You no longer fear the future, you create it consciously. Your life will always move in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. So if you want a better life, do not start by trying to rearrange everything outside. Start by reprogramming the one thing that shapes it all, your mind. Invest in yourself daily because you are the greatest asset you will ever have. Everything in your life, your relationships, your career, your health, your finances, your happiness flows from the person you are becoming. Yet too often people pour their energy into everything outside of them while neglecting the very source that fuels it all, themselves. They spend hours working for companies, pleasing people, chasing recognition, scrolling through distractions, but they invest almost nothing into sharpening their mind, strengthening their body, or nourishing their soul. And then they wonder why they feel empty, unfulfilled, and stuck. The truth is, if you want your life to grow, you must grow. And growth is not accidental, it is intentional, daily, and disciplined. Investing in yourself is not selfish, it is foundational. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot give what you don't have. If you want to be a better leader, partner, parent, or creator, you must first expand your capacity. That means feeding your mind with knowledge, because ignorance keeps you small, but learning opens doors. Read books that challenge your thinking. Listen to voices that expand your vision. Engage in conversations that stretch your perspective. Your mind is like a muscle. If you don't exercise it, it weakens. If you train it, it becomes powerful. Investing in yourself also means taking care of your body. Too many people sacrifice their health in pursuit of success, only to spend their success later trying to buy back their health. Your body is the vehicle through which you experience life, and neglecting it is like pouring sugar into the gas tank of a car. You won't get far. Move daily, fuel yourself with foods that energize, rest enough to recover, and treat your body with respect. A sharp mind cannot function in a tired, neglected body. Equally important is the investment in your inner world. Practice stillness, meditation, reflection, or prayer. Create space to listen to your own soul instead of only listening to the noise of the world. Without inner investment, you may gain the world and lose yourself. Inner strength gives you resilience, clarity, and peace, the kind of wealth no external success can replace. The key is consistency. Investing in yourself is not about a grand gesture once in a while. It is about small, deliberate deposits every day. 10 pages of reading, 30 minutes of exercise, 15 minutes of reflection, writing down goals, practicing gratitude. These small investments compound over time. Just as small financial deposits grow into wealth, small daily investments in yourself grow into an extraordinary life. When you invest in yourself, you stop begging for opportunities because you become the kind of person opportunities look for. You stop clinging to people who don't value you because you recognize your own value. You stop fearing the future because you are preparing for it every day. Investing in yourself builds confidence because confidence does not come from wishing, it comes from preparation. It comes from knowing you are doing the work to become the best version of you. And here's the truth, the world always mirrors back what you invest into yourself. If you invest in growth, people see your growth. If you invest in discipline, people trust your discipline. If you invest in your vision, people are inspired by your vision. The quality of your external life can never exceed the quality of your internal investment. So make yourself a priority. Treat your mind like fertile soil and plant seeds of wisdom. Treat your body like a temple and care for it daily. Treat your spirit like a sacred flame and keep it burning. Because the more you invest in yourself, the richer your life becomes in every dimension. And when you become rich within, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. Gratitude over neediness, because the posture of your heart determines the energy you radiate, and the energy you radiate determines what you attract. Neediness is rooted in lack. It constantly says, I don't have enough, I am not enough, I need more to feel whole. It is a begging energy, a vibration of desperation that pushes things further away the more tightly you chase them. When you live in neediness, you are blind to what is already present in your life, and that blindness creates emptiness. You overlook the blessings you already have. You minimize the progress you've already made, and you dismiss the people who already love and support you. Neediness makes you live in a future that hasn't arrived while ignoring the beauty of the present moment. Gratitude, on the other hand, shifts everything. Gratitude says, I already have enough, I am already enough, and because I recognize this, I open myself to receive even more. Gratitude is not passive acceptance, it is active recognition. It does not mean you stop striving, but it means you stop striving from a place of emptiness and start creating from a place of fullness. When you live with gratitude, you acknowledge the smallest details, a breath in your lungs, the sun rising, the ability to learn, the people who show up for you, the strength you discovered in yourself yesterday. These recognitions build a reservoir of joy and strength that neediness can never provide. Neediness drains relationships because it demands and clings, constantly asking others to fill the void within. Gratitude enriches relationships because it gives and uplifts, constantly appreciating what is already there. A needy person walks into a room saying, "Who will notice me? Who will give to me? Who will fill me?" A grateful person walks into the same room saying, "How blessed I am to even be here, how much I appreciate the connections around me, how much I can contribute." And people are drawn to that difference. Gratitude attracts, neediness repels. On a deeper level, gratitude reprograms your mind. The brain cannot hold fear and gratitude at the same time. When you choose gratitude, you quiet the voice of scarcity, anxiety, and insecurity. You train your mind to look for what is right instead of obsessing over what is wrong. And the more you look for what is right, the more you find it. Life expands in the direction of your focus, and gratitude sharpens your focus on abundance. Gratitude also transforms your energy. When you wake up and say, "Thank you," before anything else, your body shifts into a state of openness and calm. Stress hormones decrease, and your capacity to see solutions increases. Gratitude is not just an emotion, it is a state of alignment with life itself. Neediness tightens your fists, gratitude opens your hands. With fists clenched, you cannot receive. With hands open, you can welcome everything meant for you. Living in gratitude does not mean you stop dreaming big. It means you dream big while being deeply content with what you already have. You say, "I am thankful for this moment, and I am excited for what is coming." That balance of contentment and vision creates power. It removes desperation and replaces it with confidence. Instead of chasing, you begin attracting. Instead of begging, you begin creating. Instead of waiting for someone to fill you, you overflow. The truth is, gratitude is the language of abundance, while neediness is the language of scarcity. One expands, the other contracts. One empowers, the other weakens. And every day you have the choice of which language you will speak. If you want more peace, more opportunities, more love, more success, start by being grateful for what is already in your hands. Because when you appreciate what you have, you create space for what you desire. Gratitude is the soil in which miracles grow. Create, don't chase, because the moment you begin to chase, you affirm that what you desire is running away from you, and the very act of chasing declares that you are incomplete without it. Chasing is rooted in the belief that fulfillment is out there, somewhere ahead, in someone else's hands, and you must run after it to finally feel whole. But creation is a completely different energy. Creation says, "I carry within me the seeds of what I desire. I do not need to beg, I do not need to chase, I need only to bring forth what is already inside of me." When you create, you are not waiting for the world to hand you opportunities. You are shaping opportunities through your mindset, your energy, your daily actions, and your consistency. The danger of chasing is that it makes you a prisoner of what you don't have. When you chase, your worth becomes conditional. You are valuable only when you catch what you're running after. And in that process, you spend your days running on a treadmill of exhaustion, where every achievement feels temporary because your eyes are already fixed on the next thing you're missing. Chasing is endless because no matter how much you acquire, the habit of lack keeps your focus on what is absent. Creation, however, frees you. Creation allows you to sit in the present moment and say, "I will cultivate my gifts, I will build with what I have, I will water my own soil until it blooms." Creation does not rely on external permission. It thrives on internal alignment. When you chase people, you place them above yourself, giving them the power to define your value. But when you create yourself, when you invest in your growth, your vision, your peace, and your character, people are drawn to you naturally. Creation turns you into a magnet. You no longer have to knock on every door hoping to be chosen, because your very presence, your energy, and your consistency speak louder than any plea could. The most influential people in the world are not those who spent their lives chasing validation, approval, or attention. They are the ones who created themselves, who mastered their craft, who disciplined their minds, who nurtured their inner life until it radiated outward. Creation also changes your relationship with time. When you are chasing, time feels like your enemy. It's always running out, you're always late, you're always behind. But when you are creating, time becomes your ally. Every moment is an opportunity to build, to learn, to expand. You stop comparing your journey to others because you recognize that your lane is unique. Chasing compares, creating transforms. Chasing exhausts, creating renews. To create is to take responsibility. It means you no longer wait for luck, for approval, for someone to save you. It means you understand that your thoughts, emotions, and actions are the architects of your future. Every day you are planting seeds through your habits, your beliefs, and your decisions. The question is not whether you are creating, but what you are creating. Are you creating fear or faith, anxiety or peace, chaos or clarity? Because life is always mirroring what you put into it. Creation is also about alignment with a higher energy. When you chase, you operate from scarcity, from the belief that the universe has limited resources, and you must run to catch your share. But when you create, you operate from the knowing that abundance flows through you. You begin to realize that the ideas, the visions, the inspirations that come to you are not random. They are invitations to create. They are seeds entrusted to you to bring forth into the world. And the more you create, the more you align with that source, the more opportunities naturally flow toward you. Even in relationships, this truth is powerful. Chasing love only leads to disappointment because it is built on desperation. But creating love within yourself by cultivating kindness, joy, authenticity, and self-respect makes you radiate in a way that draws healthy love toward you. The same is true in business, in success, in personal growth. The greatest achievements are not the result of frantic chasing, but of deliberate, consistent creating. So instead of asking, how do I catch what I want? Begin asking, how do I create what I want? Instead of saying, I will be happy when I finally get there, say, I will create happiness here and now. That shift alone transforms your life because it takes you out of the role of a beggar and puts you in the role of a builder. And builders are powerful because they are not waiting, they are shaping. At the core of it all, chasing drains your energy while creating multiplies it. Chasing leaves you empty, creating leaves you fulfilled even before the results arrive, because the act of creating is already the reward. It grows you, it strengthens you, it aligns you with who you are meant to be. And when you live in creation rather than chasing, you stop running after life and instead allow life to flow toward you, because what you are meant to have will always recognize the person you are becoming. There comes a point when you must stop asking for permission and start embodying the life you desire, because if you spend your whole existence waiting for others to approve, validate, or recognize you, you will never fully step into the power that already lives inside of you. Many people live their lives as though the key to their future lies in someone else's hands. They keep waiting for someone to say, now you're ready, now you're good enough, now you can begin. But the truth is, no one will ever hand you that permission slip. The world rarely gives you the validation you crave. If you want to rise, if you want to step into your calling, you must give yourself that permission. You must decide that you are worthy to begin now, that you are enough as you are, and that growth will happen as you walk forward. When you live in a state of asking, of constant begging for opportunities, relationships, or recognition, you communicate to yourself and the universe that you do not yet trust your own power. You place your destiny in someone else's pocket, hoping they'll hand it back to you. But the danger is that people may never see the vision you carry. They may never understand the fire that burns in your heart. And if you wait for their approval, you will wait forever. Permission is not something to be granted to you from the outside. It is something to be claimed from the inside. There is incredible freedom in this realization, because once you stop waiting, once you start creating, once you stop begging, you start building. Once you stop asking, you start acting. And action is what transforms potential into reality. Every great inventor, every leader, every visionary you admire, they all faced resistance, doubt, and rejection. They were told it wasn't possible, that they weren't qualified, that the world didn't need what they carried. But they refused to live by the approval of others. They granted themselves the right to walk their path, and in doing so, they created something that had never been seen before. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is the recognition that you were given gifts, talents, and visions for a reason. You were not designed to simply follow the script of others. You were designed to write your own, and the only way you write it is by trusting your own authority to step forward. This doesn't mean you ignore wisdom, guidance, or feedback. It means you stop being paralyzed by the fear of rejection and start honoring the voice within you. The longer you wait for permission, the heavier your dreams become. They turn into weights you carry instead of wings that lift you. But the moment you give yourself permission, the weight turns into fuel. You begin to walk differently. You begin to speak with conviction. You begin to radiate certainty, and certainty attracts resources, people, and opportunities in a way begging never can. When you stop asking, will they accept me? And start declaring, I accept myself, the whole atmosphere around you shifts. Even spiritually, this principle is powerful. The Creator did not make you incomplete, waiting for other human beings to finalize your worth. You were made whole, equipped with everything you need to take the next step. The approval you seek is already embedded in your existence. You are alive, and that is proof enough that you have a purpose. Stop dishonoring that by delaying your life until someone else claps for you. Some will cheer, some will doubt, but none of them define you. You define you. So do not beg for opportunities. Create them. Do not beg for love. Become love. Do not beg for recognition. Live in such a way that your work speaks louder than applause ever could. When you stop living like a beggar, you start living like a builder. And builders shape their reality. Builders are not spectators, they are creators. And the moment you step into that identity, you will realize that everything you thought you were chasing has actually been waiting for you to show up as your true self.